Hi lovelies, karibu sana to my YouTube channel. My name is Glynis. Thank you so much for joining us if you're new here. If you're a returning viewer, asante sana sana sana. I hope you enjoyed last week's video where basically we were talking about how to maneuver your exams as a first year student. Today we'll be talking about books, as you can tell from the title, because that is the other thing that I like to do. And we'll be going through my top 4 reads of 2021. So let's get into it. I will be the first to admit I did not read as much as I wanted to in 2021 because, as you all know, I was preparing for my bar exams and I was also taking on my pupillage, so it was a crazy year. If anything, I have read more books of law in the past year than I have read for fun or just, as a breather. And I really enjoy reading, as you may know from my past videos, because I did my top 3 books of 2019, I did my top 5 African books of 2020, and it is only right for me to do my top 4 books of 2021. And I always talk about reading because it really edifies the mind and it makes you learn so much from what other people have written. I will also at the end of the video talk about 2 books that I started reading in 2021 but I'm not through, and share my comments on that. So let's head on to book number 1. Book number 1 is For One More Day by Mitch Albom. My goodness, I would never in a million years thought that I would read this book, and I just, for a fact, had never heard about the author and I had never heard about the book. So it really came across my desk for some very weird reason. It's just someone recommended it and I read it in a day, and it's been probably years since I got a book that I read in a day. It's a very short and concise book. It's a book that if I tell you anything about the characters, I will have to break the story to you. If you've heard about the author Mitch Albom, I need you to go with faith. I also understand he's written Tuesdays with Maury, and I've not seen it on bookshelves. If you've read it before or you've seen it in bookshelves, please let me know. But I also understand it's one of those books that is like, wake up and smell the coffee and just get your life in order because there is no time to waste. This book really made me appreciate precise writing. And I know a lot of times when we read books, mostly we're going for lessons or we're going for some kind of growth or we're going for some kind of searching and whatnot. But this book was not a book I intended to read, so it's a book that I was expecting disappointment, for lack of a better way to put it. But the precision of the author is, my goodness, amazing. It's one of the few books I've come across that somehow strikes a balance between giving you very little information that is enough to get you turning the pages, but also giving you so much in terms of depth of the characters and in terms of an understanding of the situation. And the book will make you feel like you're, without spoiling it, the book will make you feel like you're living through the main character. You understand them, you will feel their pain. If I'm the only one who somehow has never read this author, I apologize to the readers out there, but oh wow, it wasn't a book that was supposed to cross my desk, but it did, and it completely changed the game for me. I will definitely be looking out for Mitch Albom. I hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly. In case you've read more books by him, please comment down below and just let me know, as his books always that tiny. I know I don't have the physical copy, but I'm sure at this point I've already inserted a picture somewhere. So make sure you get it. The second book that's gonna make the cut, and this is really just because I was reading for the bar exams and I just had to read this book, it's Devil's Advocate. I haven't watched the movie, but I have read the book, and well, if you want to pass trial advocacy and you're a lawyer and you're watching it, read the book. But also mostly because it's very shrewd in how it's written. But when you get into the legal practice, when you're done with the whole studying for the bar, it comes to life, which is very weird because you want to think that you're getting into a profession that is straightforward, that the law speaks for itself. But when you get into practice, all the lessons you learn, all the 10 commandments from the Devil's Advocate come to life. And that's why I appreciate that book, because it's not necessarily written for for our country and our legal system, but the lessons that you derive from it, you can carry them on through all of practice. And it's an important book if you're a lawyer, but it's also very good entertainment if you're not a lawyer. But if you don't feel like reading it just because you're not a lawyer, watch the movie. I understand it's interesting, but as I have said, I have not watched it. That one is purely for educational purposes and for the whole shift of when you read it and then you get into practice and you see things in the book, it really sort of like rattles you and you realize, oh wow, okay, that's how it is in practice. And just as I'm talking about devil's advocate, I did a video on books you should read if you are a lawyer. I will link it up here and down below. If you're interested in being a lawyer, please go and watch that video. If not, let's get into the third book. The third book is How to Be Rich. I know, I talk badly about motivational books to some of my friends who might end up watching this video. I personally cannot stand books that tell you what to do. And I don't know why they sort of like irk me a bit, because I'm always asking myself the question, okay, it worked for you, what makes you so sure it's gonna work for me the way it worked for you? So I understand there's a way you can give generic advice and you can customize it to suit someone's situation. I have a problem with this very step-by-step, play-by-play books. Maybe I will get one that will be step-by-step and play-by-play, and I'll probably be here swallowing my words and telling you that I have found the self-help book that has changed it for me. But this motivational, inspiring books that are not memoirs, I struggle with, to be very honest. I struggled with, as you guys know, Kiyosaki's book that is very famous, and I found people who read that book. What was that book called? It's somewhere on this shelf. This one, Rich Dad Poor Dad. I started it and I was like really enjoying it, but when I was getting to the end, I was like, oh God, I can't wait for it to end. And I understand now. There's a friend of mine from high school who now later on will tell me she couldn't stand the book, and I totally get why. It's just that I started it and it was like, oh okay, I get it, and now it got to a point and it wasn't. Anyway, before I ramble on too long, How to Be Rich, again, wasn't a book that was going to cross my desk. I think I enjoyed it because it's different lessons from different books put together about money. But my biggest take home is we have a very wrong mentality when it comes to money. It is very flawed. We have sort of become the people who work for money as the goal and have stopped looking at money as the tool. And the minute you look at money as a goal, you're constantly paper chasing. You're constantly waiting to make the next big thing from paycheck to paycheck. But when money becomes an instrument or a tool, you learn that whatever you have now can work for you and be the next thing to creating wealth and riches for you. Also, it touches on the whole aspect of Christianity and money, and how you would not necessarily be the daughter of a king and suffer. So really, it's one of those books that makes you look at money a whole new way. And I recommend it. As someone who doesn't really do well with motivational books, just give it a try. Yeah. Okay. The final book, again, this is a book that I have come on here and I have talked badly about it because I read it in the span of over a year, and you guys know that I struggled with this book. But it is Tequila, Mockingbird by Harper Lee, and I came to you guys and I told you I am just serious about finishing it, and we are so thankful that I finally read it and finished it. First of all, I want to apologize to all the Harper Lee fans because I just could not wrap my head around the book. The first 100 pages were just a waste of time for me, and I just could not understand why she decided to use the voice of a child to write the book. I knew it was a book about the law, about the various injustices, and I really struggled to finish it. And even when I finished it, I still took some time when I went back and read some of the things. Long story short, it is worth it. If you're like me and you struggle through the first 100 pages, it will get to a point where it all makes sense. All those places where you're reading this very deep English from the 60s or whenever that book was written, it makes sense. Be patient, see through the end. And that was a book that when I finished it in 2021, I was so glad I did. First of all, one, because I was tired of reading the same thing over and over again, but two, because the author made sure the wait was worth it, and I will appreciate the writing for that. Will I read another Harper Lee book? I would not bet on it. But I am so happy I read that book, and it was amazing for me as a lawyer. And it's also amazing in terms of the creativity in writing. It's very well written. I'm not a big fan of the copy that I got because the font was really tiny. If you can get the hard, no, not the paperback, if you can get the hard copy, I would recommend it because I know the font is better there. And that is it. Those are my top 4 books. I know they are not what I thought they would be. And again, I also acknowledge that I have not read as much as I intended to in 2021 because of my bar exams, but I hope to do so in 2022. And the 2 books that I said I would talk about, I am currently rereading The 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene. And I am also rereading When Breath Becomes Air, because when I read it the first time, I think it was very rushed and I didn't take a time to appreciate the writing because I don't know what was happening, but I really didn't read it the way I wanted to read it. But now I am reading it and I am probably in the first third of the book. For 48 Laws of Power, being that I'm rereading it now and I'm an adult, sometimes I'm just like, where? I read this when I was younger. But also some of the unorthodox approaches in the book, when you get into real life, now that I have been removed from the school environment and from a very sheltered way of thinking, when you sort of like look at the day-to-day things and how they work, you realize like some of the greed that is depicted in the 48 laws is a reality. Some of the laws about making people dependent on you so that you don't become dispensable, you realize that are a reality in everyday living. So do I think that it should be a book you read? I think you can read it. I know sometimes it really affects your value system, because if that's how the world runs, then what's the importance of values? I just think you need a lot of wisdom as you read it to also realize that it doesn't have to be all or nothing kind of situation, but it requires a lot of sort of like objectivity when reading it. When Breath Becomes Air, I know it's about to break my heart. The forward sort of like spoils the whole book. It doesn't spoil it, but you know what's gonna happen. You know that he's gonna die. You know that he struggles with cancer. But the essence of the book is his quest to find out the meaning of life. And what I like about where I am in the book is that he talks about wanting to understand the basis of life from literature and from medicine, and he talks about his love for books and his love for literature and the conflict with his love of literature and his love for medicine, and how he narrows down to now be a doctor. So if you've read it, please comment down below. Just save the spoilers, but if you've read any of these books, please comment down below and let me know what your experience has been. If you like it when I talk about books and come and ramble about my views, please let me know by giving this video a thumbs up or by commenting down below, and you will be sure to see more content about books. Thank you as usual for watching this video. Please subscribe to this channel if you haven't, and share this with a friends who may want to see this kind of content. And let's keep growing and glowing together as usual. Please don't forget to be kind to one another and also to yourself. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.